Yeah.
Beyond the memes.
Boy. What face and forehead are
that was like every
bands.
Twitch emote, just like everyone gets what they want, you know. Like there's not an emote in there that isn't on the list of much desired memes.
I did not see OMG Scoots on there, so I'm out.
I didn't see Puppy Face either, so guess he didn't get his 10%. But
well, we like our monitors around here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do we though? We
He's 144 hertz, baby. Yeah, I'm taking one home.
That one's not, but yeah, the ones out in the office are. Yeah, what one of our monitors unfortunately didn't make it.
Yeah, Dakota
died in a filming accident, but it was for the greater good of the house.
So interesting here, Batrider, okay, our last ban in the first phase here, is the most banned across all regions. He has 41 bans. The next closest is OD with 33.
It's crazy how Batrider's like only been nerfed and is getting banned more high priority than he was like 3-4 months ago.
Here's the funny thing though, he's actually not being picked. So he's only been picked 8 times. He's been banned 41 times in 73 matches, so obviously a lot of teams don't want to play against him. But then of the times that he's not banned, he usually just makes it through the draft untouched.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would attribute it to some extent to some really strong offlaners in the scene. I mean, obviously, like Ohio's Batrider has been really on point when he does pick it up, and I think that it's just something that a lot of teams are respectful of, because when you're running like a solo zoning support and trying to get a carry in a good position in terms of farm, the Batrider can do so many things to mess it up. Either start off with a sneaky position where he can reset the Creequilibrium, or really just contest the lane more directly when he gets to level 2 or 3. So, yeah, the hero's not as strong as he used to be, but he's always going to be like able to do so many things. Whether just split push, pick off a hero here or there, it just comes down to items.
Now this is definitely different. Not something. I mean, Oracle's hardly been picked at all.
Yeah,
the games that I've cast.
Oracle is the unusual one.
And it's a first overall Oracle on top of that.
That's, I mean, pre-nerf again. This is what we've been talking about on a couple of these panel segments. That it really feels like we've talked about this at times in the past, but it really feels like it sort of takes time for the nerfs and buffs to get cycled into the meta. It feels like a lot of the teams are just kind of going with what they would have gone with 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's because like the way that scrims play out, like you want to still play what you're comfortable with,
right.
And so there's kind of a pick rot that comes into play where like you'll still keep picking the same heroes, and gradually you'll see that they're weaker and that they're less effective, at least by comparison to the alternatives. But the reason I think that Oracle is actually prioritized as a first pick here is mostly because of the bans that opened up the match. X-Nova, the last 2 games I've seen him play were on Shadow Demon and on Keeper of the Light, so with those limited options, they just wanted to make sure that he had a good 5-position support to play.
I kind of like what Warriors are doing here. Actually, is they're just kind of saying, look, we just are coming off a rough game in which we probably were where we needed to be to at least compete against Mineski, but 4 out of our 5 players just had a really bad game. Let's just switch things up. Let's go with something completely different in the draft.
So the Radiant Ursa picked up someone who can deal pretty well with Timbersaw, at least certainly in the early to mid game, and can even burst him later on if he hasn't already built up reactive armor stack. So I like that matchup a decent amount, and he's got a lot of help from the Oracle to set up for kills with the snares. So I think that's a pretty good combo, and obviously TnC getting the Bruising Ogre, probably one of the most popular support picks from what I've seen. Where
it's been a staple in SEA, almost always first phase.
Warlock's the other one, but I have not been very impressed by the Warlock picks, to be honest.
60%.
The games that I've seen, it's obviously not statistically valid, but he's been underwhelming. So
now he's been.
It's a hero you have to know how he fits into the game plan.
He's been more of coming back more as a support now, which I think is a lot of teams, of course, over the last few weeks have been experimenting with him in the mid role, but he's been mostly a support in these qualifiers, which is where I think he brings that great value.
Yeah,
very strong in the laning phase, and the biggest thing is he just gives you that scalability late in the game.
Yeah, I think that a lot of were just inspired by Ice's performance from Wings in TI, picking up the Warlock pretty consistently and being able to do a lot of good things with it. Yeah. It's a pretty good counter to the very aggressive 4 melee type compositions that we saw from MVP Phoenix and a few others that's been prevalent in the scene as well. Like it's Warlock versus 3 or 4 melee very commonly. I think it's actually quite odd that we don't see it in the first phase, because most SEA drafts either team will be picking up in phase 1. Both teams leaving it on the table here, and we might not see it whatsoever.
Yeah,
so.
It's not often in these drafts that we've seen it make it through 4 picks and 10 bans.
Yeah, I remember
4 picks and 6 bans.
I remember you put out a stat that he was like one of the most picked heroes. He had like 20 games already, and I looked up by region, how many were picked up? 9 out of 20 were SEA.
SEA,
So
right.
very, very concentrated in this region, and in this case, just not
And
even.
the Warlock is
concerned.
still on the table.
Yeah, they might just leave it.
You talk about teams imitating wings in TI. I think a lot of teams were looking at DC, and that's part of why you've seen Ogre come back so strong first phase.
Sure.
That it keep the threat of that tri-lane alive, but also big threat in a duel lane as well.
TnC with the Omni ban, obviously very good against Timbersaw. And I'm still wondering what the overall approach here is, with neither team particularly tipping their hand. Ursa's a little less common, but it's not like you have to have a big strategy for picking the hero.
I think TnC is the one that has the more strategic options going here into the second phase. But the other nice thing about Ursa though is that you can certainly still pick a pretty greedy set of farming cores alongside the Ursa. He doesn't need that much farm to do a lot of damage. The Bounty Hunter pick, though, here seems a little bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to allow them to be very active on the map early, but, I mean, you're running into that situation where you're having a lot of melee heroes, less kiting potential. Sure, track gives you a bit of movement speed, but I'm really worried that they are putting too much into the lanes and trying to mostly just run down squishy heroes. Now that they know that they're up against Bounty Hunter Ogre, one of them is going to have an Orb of Venom at least,
Right.
They can realize that they can just get heroes that can survive against these little ganks on the side. I pick up some sentry wards, whatever, and start to get involved. I mean, it's doubtful that either one of these is the offlaner, but can you really afford to run them both as support?
Well, you almost have to. That's the thing. I mean, I guess you can turn around and run the Timber mid, but
Bounty and Ogre offlane does not sound. Neither of those sounds like a
Yeah,
great
exactly,
offlaner versus
exactly.
Ursa to me. So I think they are both supports, but I agree it's triple melee, double melee supports. Not really much, really no team fight from either of them. So it's all about the lanes for TnC. They've got a strong laner in Timbersaw. They've got strong laning supports, and they need to get something done in those lanes, or they're going to be mega punished in the mid game. So TnC now 4th pick.
I would not have called either of these third picks by either team.
No, I mean, the Earth Spirit could definitely work pretty well. The Silence is really strong against the Timbersaw, and in some cases the Ogre. Just carrying Dust around early on is enough to threaten the Bounty Hunter and make him a little bit nervous about trying to go on somebody. Because if Earth Spirit and Oracle are both there, and you have Dust, that is a dead Gondar.
And Earth Spirit can also help with the threat.
Now, there's
that
a name
Bounty
I
Hunter
haven't
can
heard in a long
represent to your
time.
Mid player.
Well, if he oversteps, he's gone. He's just out of there, so might as well be appropriate. But Phantom Assassin going to be the pickup here. This quad melee strat, again, very reminiscent of the MVP Phoenix of TI, and we.
Can you as TnC? Can you 5th pick Magnus?
I mean, you can. I'm not sure if you would.
I still don't like.
Mag PA is still pretty legit, in my opinion.
I
you
feel
already
like
got
they
the
need
Timber-
something though. They need like a.
It's
I don't
just
know.
a little. It's a little. Yeah, it's a little. It would be very, very awkward because that's 5 melee heroes.
Yeah.
But they need something, right? Like PA
Against
doesn't
an
really want to
Ursa.
jump in against this lineup right
Yeah,
now. And I was
you
gonna
just-
say Darkseer, but not gonna happen anymore because WG.Unity
Yeah.
have snagged it up. So you have Vacuum now into Magnetize. Ursa feasts on melee heroes. I'm a little hesitant about this TnC draft
Yeah,
to be
this
totally
is-
honest.
yeah.
This is very strange.
It can work if you get a really good start with the Bounty Ogre somewhere, and then, of course, when PA and Timber hit 6, they have huge burst potential, which ideally is going to be able to kill targets despite Oracle's help. Like, the big thing here is you look at Oracle, he's got that Feats Edict, it nullifies magical damage, but where's that magical damage coming from? You have pure nukes from Timber and physical ones from PA. It makes it so that it's going to be harder and harder to keep an ally alive without Oracle popping the false promise.
Nobody is really good at taking towers or objectives here, aside from Ursa being decent at Roshan right now, and he's Radiant, so curious to see if either team looks to resolve that with this last pick.
I think Silver Edge is actually really good this game for Warriors Gaming. If Ursa can pick that up towards the mid game, negating
God,
reactive
yes.
armor or either of PA's passives is going to be huge. I think
PA
that's
is like
gonna
not
be the
even a
game changer.
hero if you have
If
Silver
you
Edge.
got Silver Edge against her, yeah.
So I think that's like you could obviously look towards late game and look towards MKB or Bloodthorn, but I think Silver Edge is probably like the quintessential item that'll allow Ursa to just dominate the map.
Final ban for Warriors Gaming, and they will have the first pick coming in. So you've got a little bit more synergy here. The Ion Shell on Ursa, the Surge on Ursa, and the Ion Shell on Earth Spirit all work really well together. So the Darkseer fits in. Curious.
Yeah, it was interesting last night. Warriors ran, I believe they were the team that ran an Ursa, and they built very, very early. They went Blink Flats as the first 2 items on it. Played it very, very aggressively. And eventually just got punished by Mineski for...
Generally, it seems like most teams like to run the Blink Rush on Ursa,
Yep.
and then they have another carry who uses the space to farm. So I think they're looking for a mid here.
Mirana is still in the pool, surprisingly.
I mean, Ajit's played TA, but that's been banned. TA would not have been that great this game against the Timber. So, Mirana's decent.
Yeah, if you can get a good vacuum and then the Mirana has her Ags and Blink up, like you're able to just obliterate some of these heroes. And
I do think they need like a ranged damage dealer though,
I mean,
because
they ran the Nana Invoker the last game, but he just had a brutal game.
up against this kind of lineup, you really can't afford to be caught out of position on a hero that's already pretty slow. So that's why I look for a hero with a natural escape. You could have like a mid Jug, you can have a Mirana. Faces Void actually got picked up in the mid a couple of times, but it's not going to be the key here. So I think Mirana is probably the most obvious.
I really
they go
like
with Storm.
The Storm's okay. I would have liked the Mirana a little better, but the Storm's all right.
The Storm can maybe do more against the Timbersaw long term, but he has more issues against the Bounty Hunter as well.
Right.
So they're going to have to be very active in terms of the early Sentry wards.
it's a good Storm game once he hits 6 though.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, they have nothing on him.
Yeah, but you're right. That's the thing, right? I look at it as, Storm is a little bit better once he gets his level 6, but Mirana is just so much more stable in the early game, and that's what we were worried about to begin with, is that the laning phase is the big potential weakness.
The good news is it's going to be an Ursa safe lane against a melee hero with an Oracle, so I don't think Earthspirit is really needed bottom. He can go help mid for the Storm. He can camp that lane. Darkseer in a 1v1 against
there's your Jug on the
a
other
Juggernaut,
side.
it looks like, or maybe a dual lane with the Jug. So
is this Jug mid or PA mid?
Looks like Jug mid.
I would assume.
I would think Jug mid, but
Yeah.
Jug also lanes really well against Darkseer. So
I'm curious to see what the range nerf to Stifling Dagger does to PA's mid potential, because on paper it hurts her quite a lot, but the other thing is mid you get your level 5, level 7 a lot faster. So
Yeah, shouldn't be too big of a deal.
that does help TnC as far as objectives go. They have the healing ward now. The Jug is decent at working on Roche together with PA. Gives them another scaling core. It's still 5 melee heroes against a Darkseer,
Yeah, that's
Ursa,
the-
Earthspirit.
that's the fear. I do think Warriors Gaming has this draft, and I think it's similar in terms of its snowball potential for Ajit to the Morphling play that we saw at him in the last game. Storm Spirit definitely a hero that can take over the game in that same way, but it's a lot more balanced in terms of what the other players can bring to the table. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's Darkseer, Earthspirit against 5 melee heroes.
Yeah. So the way I see it is that if TnC are going to win this game off this draft, it's going to be very one-sided. It's going to be a game where they're able to just run down the opposition. They're going to prevent every Roshan. They're going to be able to get Blink Dagger up early on the Jug, which will allow him to assassinate the Oracle with a quick Blink Omni, and that will just kind of set the tone for the game. But yeah, let's say that the Bounty Hunter gets picked off a couple of times, the Ogre doesn't put out enough pressure, and the lanes start going the way of WG, and as you mentioned, Storm hits level 6. That's about the time where I feel much more confident in WG.Unity's ability to execute this draft.
So Warriors Gaming are going to smoke to start this game off heading through the...
All right, help me out, guys. First player with 50 last hits. What do you think? Ursa? Ursa or Jug?
Darkseer, probably. Depends,
Darkseer.
but I think Darkseer would be
yeah,
pretty
you
good.
think that-
He's up against 5 melee heroes.
He's up
like-
against 5 melee heroes. All right. We're going to go with you. I'll trust you, buddy. All right.
Mistakes were made.
Nah, I don't know. Let's see. See if I can ride Cyclops' camera here.
Warriors Gaming going to defend their jungle for now. We'll have TnC off on the Dire side. So always interesting to see where the Bounty Hunter goes. Does he get that early courier snipe?
How do you guys feel about this ward? The beginning of the game.
That's for the Darkseer.
Yeah.
Just they can keep tabs on him.
A little
The thing
dubious
is, like,
about
what are
that.
you going to do as a bounty hunter? Oh, he's farming the
Right.
Knooch, so I'm going to, like, leech experience. That's the main thing. You're not really going to be able to kill him.
Yeah,
so.
that ward is like you're leeching experience off of one camp. I'm not sure. There's probably something about it that I'm not seeing.
They don't really stack Ancients that well.
Yeah.
So I think it's mainly just to keep tabs on the Darkseer.
Yeah, and also make it so that Teehee can move into a good position to Shadow Walk. Shadow Walk only lasts like 20 seconds, so
Yeah, all right.
if you happen to be
All
like
right.
looking for a gank on Storm, and then you walk like beneath the steps, right where the Darkseer happens to be, and you Shadow Walk, you're wasting a hell of a lot of time. So he's already going to start putting pressure out mid. It's actually going to be on Nana, which is a really good switch up.
And he doesn't have any help with the Blade Fury. The slows, that rolling boulder only hitting cast. Might be a first blood here. One
Fairy
more
Fire.
auto attack.
Yeah.
Fairy Fire. He's going to live and actually almost turning around on Teehee. He'll make it out, but running the Ursa mid. If that's a storm, maybe he dies. Ursa with a poor man shield, very tanky.
as you'd expect.
So that's going to be a pretty good situation for Nana to be in. Yeah, he'll be able to trade out with the Juggernaut as well. We're going to see it's actually Suicide to Ancients here, but they're going to be committing like a tri-lane middle. And they might kill Ursa once or twice, but it's really not going to shut him down. And Storm's going to guarantee a very fast level 6. And
they're going to do what they should do, and they're going to spend their time bottom here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
But Nova's already ready for this. Like, he's got his Sentry Ward down. He's going to be able to kind of keep tabs on where the Bounty Hunter and the Ogre are moving. Already sees Teehee here, but is a little out of position. Luckily, he does have the ability to dispel the Ignite if he's really in trouble.
And the PA just looking to contest that pull a little bit. Juggernaut, meanwhile, attempting to fight the Fuzzy Wuzzy, but 1v1.
Spin doesn't help against Furious Vibes, buddy.
You're not winning that battle 1v1, that's for sure.
This Timbersaw is doing really well in a 1v1 against the Darkseer.
Yeah, he's making sure that whenever the Iron Shield comes out, he's immediately nuking it down. It costs him a lot of mana, but it also makes the Darkseer doesn't get much.
Look at this, and your safe lane Storm gives up first blood. They are going to get at least one rebuttal cut out of this, but that's still really big.
Yeah.
That comes back to the decision again to recognize that the Bounty Hunter mid isn't going to get enough done and ship those two heroes down to the bottom lane that they weren't necessarily expecting.
Yeah, you can have a Sentry in the Newts, but can't have one everywhere.
The Newts?
The neutrals.
The Newts. The Newts. Listen, that extra syllable.
The way these kids are talking these days.
That extra syllable is really exhausting, Alan. I don't know, man. I gotta conserve my energy here. It's a long night, okay? Quick double suicide. Ritual seppuku here from TnC.
Efficiency, I guess.
Just free fountain trips, of course. But the one death on Storm, not the biggest deal. He's still CSing pretty well, sitting tied for second in the game right now, or just slightly below it. But the main thing for me is just like, does he get level 6 at a decent clip? Because once he does, he really shouldn't die very often.
All right, a little bit awkward from Teehee. He actually cancels his TP mid. He was in Shadow Walk. I'm pretty sure he planned on arriving there. But you also note that there are 2 Sentry Wards already in place, so it probably wouldn't have been like the most surprising thing, no matter which direction he approaches from. But since he's making his way back mid anyways, it does mean that it's just a bit of extra time wasted. And this is critical, because like getting that Bounty Hunter level 6 is going to be really important, and these roamers are often going to be just experience deprived.
I just feel like TnC has to get so much done in these lanes. And the one kill, a decent start, but Ursa...
No, this is a really nice... It's very, very nice for them that Sam H is getting so much done in his Timber early. Like, I feel like getting Timber off to that big early start nullifies a lot of the potential pressure.
They're going for it.
Yeah. This is good.
Big commitment on Nana in the mid lane. Can they find the kill, though? He's very tanky. A great rolling boulder forward. Teehee's going to get nuked down. Cuckoo's likely to be next. 1, 2, about to be 3 as Cast gets chased out by an angry bear. And they will make it a quick triple, and it's X-Nova who snags it. Time to build that value Midas.
Man, that Earth Spirit was the hero.
I'm absolutely astonished that they're going on Ursa still. Like, this is a mid-Ursa with Sentry Wards covering him, with support rotations available. Like, that was a really good rotation.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Earth Spirit had really good timing on his TP and very good spell usage to save that. Because I thought the Juggernaut was going to get that kill.
Well, yeah, and they've been reminded that there's a much easier kill bottom, although Ajit almost finds one. He drops the Remnant Ryo, able to juke into the trees. Coming in hot, though, is that Oracle just got 3 mid, wants that 4th bottom, and Teehee in a lot of trouble, needs 2
auto he's trying to get...
does nuke him down.
All right.
Might pay.
Get the 1 kill there, buddy.
Yeah, he almost bit off more than he could chew. Can Arcane up? Could TP out? Potentially.
He's going to need to just disarm, and even then it looks like he's still going to be going down.
The jukes?
That's
by the TP?
Hell of a juke, but I don't know if he's got enough time.
Just a bit short.
If he lives here,
nah,
that's not going to happen.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? But he might have bought time for Ajit to get cast on the way out.
So I felt like he could have just stood here and nuked the Bounty Hunter for the kill and gotten a win, but fine.
He wanted to cancel the salve at the same time. We actually have a good jump on mid here. There's going to be a spin away, but already taking a lot of physical damage, and the body block set up the final swipe.
This mid lane has just turned into a disaster for exactly the reason you guys are talking about.
You want to look at the build right here. The build for Ursa is at minimum 1 point in Earthshock, sometimes even maxing Earthshock because it's such an amazing ability. It's a 5-second cooldown, but when you're up against a Juggernaut, you realize that ability doesn't do much at all for you. So he's just going for this overpower Fierce Swipes build, which enables him to do the maximum physical damage, whether he's spinning or not.
Yeah, once he gets phase boots, it's going to be pretty tough for Cuckoo to stand in the lane. if Nana opts for that, or the Blink Rush. We'd sometimes see that as well.
Yeah, it's a 20-second duration, so this is just constantly keeping Cuckoo on his toes and forcing him away from the lane. He might even like go for a bit of a jungle time because this is just Ursa's domain.
Well, no one else is. The only one who could lane against him is Timbersaw now that he's level 6, but that would then free up the Darkseer to really pressure the safe lane and constantly be creep skipping, so a lot of pressure on Sam H in general to make things happen around the map right now. I feel like he's the guy to get them back in the game.
It seems to be always the case. Sam H, I think, is probably the strongest player in TnC nowadays. He's able to just be so stable in his offlane role, get some really good initiations, and speaking of initiations, Jug just wasted his spin.
Easy takedown, and
therefore goes down in the wall.
That felt like a slightly obvious bait when Kangaroo is just like surging in after you, and he kind of just stuck around, got hit by the boulder smash in the roll, but
no, I mean,
there's a good combo from Warriors Gaming.
Your other two cores, if you're TnC, are doing really well in this game, but it's just not enough to offset that the Juggernaut's just getting crushed.
Storm's level 6 already. They have Ogre Stun as their only disable, so he is going to just have a free game now.
Shuriken toss.
Okay, let's not get carried away. Top lane, it looks like. Little additional pressure. We'll find the kill there on cast, but potentially Cuckoo looking for the counterplay. Not yet level 6. So he's got to do it with auto attacks, and it's too late. See you later, buddy. Ah, foo. We'll just get out.
No, if Jug has phase boots there, that's probably a kill.
Well, it is going to be a kill either way. As Sam H cleans it up with the Chakram, at least going to be able to nip that one in the bud. That's the one thing that this Timberchain Max build really does for you, is not only allows you to really efficiently kill off the Ion Shell of the Darkseer and win out the CS war, but you're also extremely mobile. You're able to go at this 1450 latch range at 4-second cooldown. You're able to go from the top lane to the mid lane extremely quickly.
And that's a big deal. People often overestimate. I mean, underestimate. That's a 4-second cooldown at 220 damage, pure damage for relatively small amount of mana. Okay.
They got issues, man. This Ursa is a problem.
Oh, he's hungry too. He's got the dust. If he had Earth Shock, this would already be a kill, but because he went for this anti-Juggernaut build, it's actually preventing him from finishing off the bounty.
I mean, it's a quintuple melee lineup. If they want to kill Ursa, they have to send numbers, and now that he has ulti, it is not easy.
Now, he's got 1,000 gold. Is he going to get his Blink Dagger before the Morbid Mask?
Oh, God.
Jeez.
It's a feast in the mid lane. They finally bring the one man that can deal with Fuzzy Wuzzy in, and that will be Timber, but...
PA first item Vanguard.
Yeah, going to be able to transition that maybe later in the game to an Abyssal, but for right now, it's just to survive all the onslaught of TnC. Like, there are going to be 4 heroes attacking you if they really want to bring you down.
I guess you do need the HP with all the magic damage coming out. Blur's just not going to do anything.
So, it's one of those things where, like, you want to be the man. You have to have a man, and the Timbersaw is going to be only one. I think you need to kind of set it up so that you can go toe-to-toe with the
This
Ursa.
is pretty aggressive. Afu is going to get the silence off as they look for the kill on the Timbersaw, and they will focus him down. Nana gets it with the ultimate, and that Max Fury swipe, just devastating pickoff there. They find him in the pit, and, well, he punishes them for that. Back to Roshan.
Yeah, and the wall is actually just going to be a zoning one. It's going to be kind of difficult for the Ogre and the PA to get more involved in this, but Cuckoo really wants to get this Omni out on the Oracle.
Are going to see continued pursuit in the right. Like, how do you go on the Ursa right now? Especially when the Oracle's behind him, Aya chills on him, he's being surged constantly. And you can't ignore him because he's about to take Roche. Blink Dagger's likely next. And oh, by the way, there's a Storm that you can't lock down in this game. So we said TnC needed to have a really good laning stage. They're now down 10-4. All 3 Warriors Gaming heroes are atop the CS chart. Basically, it's track gold. Like, to me, that's it. At this point, they have to find track kills, and that is the only way they get back in the game.
Yeah, the Timbersaw dying there was a huge loss of momentum for them because he was the only hero that they had that was doing really, really well.
Yeah, and that CS war actually shifted so crazily when Timbersaw started rotating. He's actually going to go on the Storm Spirit here, who only has half mana, but I don't think Rio is going to be able to follow through, even with his long range.
Maybe could try for this. This is a extremely aggressive dive, and you could see Sam H. He's feeling that pressure to take over this game.
And that's just kind of what you're going to see, is like heroes like Ogre and Bounty just trying for kills that are out of their reach, that there's going to be on a lot of Wild Goose chases against Surge, against Storm Spirit, and even against this Earth Spirit who's very mobile.
And where did all his money go? Like, that Timbersaw, it looked like he was going to have Hood by now.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Ring, Arcane.
What's he got?
Not much, really.
Yeah, not much.
Okay, he's got mangoes, guys. Let's not get
like
carried
Hood
away
is
here.
Hood is so high value here for Timber against this lineup.
Yeah, but it's just he stopped farming. Like, he was dominating the Darkseer 100%, and it looked like he was very clearly going to be that first to 50 in CS. But
he was 41 CS before anybody else was above 30. And yeah, we just saw a couple of minutes ago, it was Darkseer that broke 50 CS first.
and it's just because the TimberSaw realized he couldn't just sit on the lane and farm. He had to help his team. He had to get involved.
There's going to be a ball in on the bottom lane. Isolating Cass, trying to finish him off. Will get the kill. Jit secures it. It cost them an Oracle, but they look for a bit more here. Good silence. Oh, rolls away. Jit moving in, though, but Sam H still in position to make things happen. That nuke damage stacking up, though. You mentioned one needing the hood, and he really does need it. He drops with ease. Ryo, the blink out, but still getting magnetized, pursued. Almost dropping. Another boulder just plopped down on his head. That last bit of damage. All that's needed. Afu collects a kill on the PA, too. So they lose 2 beefy cores. Darkseer does drop in the meanwhile, along with the Oracle, but still 2 cores for a core to support, and Storm still farming away.
It just feels like the wheels are coming off here for TnC.
Yeah,
It's a very risky draft. Like, that's 5 melee. They picked PA when there wasn't that much physical damage, only in Ursa. The whole way TnC drafted to me, they just had to have an incredible laning stage.
Oh, look at that dust. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, you run in there and die, or you just give them a free rosh?
That's an appetizer, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
He hasn't gotten his mobility item yet, but almost has the Blink Dagger very close to it. Unfortunate bash timing as the Chakram comes in. Age is secure. And now hunting for Mr. Sam H. Actually, no, we're going the other way, says Afu. He rolls on the Ryo. Bit of miscommunication here from Warriors Gaming. Do they lose anyone? Afu being chased out by the Blade Fury will end up falling. Healing Ward keeping Cuckoo alive. Jit from the high ground laying a bit into him. There's the clap. Is there follow-up damage, though?
Oh, they have control.
Kangaroo, good vacuum. They can't finish the job. Storm out of mana, and looks like he's going to have to back away. So they might lose Nana as well.
It's just going to be ages.
Bit sloppy here from Warriors Gaming and their target selection, but they will try to keep him alive. Good disengage from the Oracle with the false promise. Now looking for the turnaround. Clap. And suddenly, almost back to half health. They're committing a lot to kill off Fuzzy Wuzzy. And in the meanwhile, the Oracle will end up falling to a PA dagger. I believe that was a crit.
They're kiting him really well, though. He hasn't gotten really any face time with a single target, despite getting surged a couple times here. The track, movement speed helping out a lot. And now they might kill him a second time.
And the blood loss. But there's the vacuum.
They're going to have
follow-up combo. And finally, Earth Spirit arrives. That's the chase potential needed. Should be able to bring down Cuckoo. He does Blade Fury. Good roll forward, slowing him down. And then trying to keep up with him, but between the Bloodlust and the track, they just can't finish anybody off, and now Nana's getting kited, a fresh track applied. They are going to move on to him, while meanwhile they look to control, keep that Earth Spirit out of the picture. Omni Slash will take down the bear. TnC just pulling out their inner MVP. A 2-for-1 exchange thus far favoring them, and track gold could become the real comeback mechanic as this fight moves forward. Kangaroo on the run, limping back. Needs to throw a teammate in his pouch if he can, but there's no one to throw in, and X-Nova going to drop as well. That's 3 down.
Tracks, guys.
And they just go in one by one and get picked off accordingly.
Kills, like ordinarily in those kind of engagements, you're like, okay, well, we're losing support's no big deal, but you're feeding track kills.
Yeah, that's the big thing here. Is Bounty gets 1,000 gold out of that, 3K for the team as a whole, and but
like
a lot of that
getting
comes
like
down to the Oracle.
a fast mech this game or something for Bounty would be so huge with their 5-man potential.
I really like this, that we're seeing TnC come back and execute pretty cleanly in these fights. You saw in that fight, there was 20 or 30 seconds straight that both Jug and TimberSaw were on like below 100 HP, and they both survived for a while. Jug did end up dropping, but the execution was really nice in kiting that Ursa out.
Extremely good, and also the Oracle position was compromised a couple of times. I will say that X-Nova was a little bit too ambitious about trying to get everything. Nice stun coming out. But the Oracle, like, he really wanted to keep the Aegis up. Like, he put a lot into keeping the Ursa alive for his first life. And the issue with that is that the Oracle himself didn't have anything to save himself except for a minimum duration Fortune's End.
Also, Ursa got Blink after that fight. So
and Mech is about to come up, too. So all these items that could have been online then are just delayed too long.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that I was kind of questioning, was that a lot as an Oracle player, a lot of times you see a fight like that go south for your team, your mentality is, okay, I've used my false promise, I've used my spell combo, I'm just going to kind of sacrifice myself to the enemy team. But all of a sudden, if you add track into the equation, it's not clear that that's right. That's the right play.
This could be bad for Nana. Chain's not going to connect though. It'll give him a little extra time, and again the kick from distance.
No,
still down the timber. I don't really see him getting out. The ultimate still on cooldown for about 3 seconds. Another track kill, and this one on the Ursa of all heroes. It's not just about the gold that TnC get there. They take a big threat off the map for about 40, 50 seconds.
Now this is just last couple of minutes have been a little bit of a failure in discipline from Warriors Gaming. You know, fine, the engagement in the Radiant jungle goes against you. That's going to happen, but there's no reason for Ursa to eat that death there. Just stuck around too long.
With the mech, I would like to see them try and take advantage of that, go for a larger scale engagement. I feel like their team fight is way stronger when they're 5. You vacuum, double ion shell, surge the Ursa, mech to keep them alive, magnetize on top of that. When they go off on their own, they're giving up track kills, they're more easily kited. Like, this to me is not the type of lineup that really wants to be running around helter-skelter 1 by 1.
Yeah, they don't have a lot. The one issue with 5-manning at this point is that they don't have a great tower killing team. So they can take the 5-man team fight, but it's not clear that they're going to get a bunch of buildings after that.
That is definitely true. I mean, that's to a lesser extent a slight issue for TnC, but Jug is a decent tower sieger.
So, curious about the future item builds. I guess PA will go for the Desolator next, but she does have the components that could go into something like a Vladge, which the team could really benefit from. We are going to be seeing a jump here on bottom, though, trying to bring down the PA really quickly.
Oh, she might have bit off more than she could chew. Magnetize quickly brings her low. Cass now the one who might pay as he gets nuked a bit by the Oracle, but the Healing Ward, free disengage. Everyone's relatively healthy.
Oh, that
Nana
rock.
coming in.
Oh!
That rock.
Ronaldo, is that you?
Jeez.
Quickly brings down 1, maybe 2. Cuckoo now going to try and spin his way out of this, but Ursa gets turned on. This Fuzzy Wuzzy needs help. Where are the heals from the Oracle? False Promise now deployed. Good timing on that, but Sam H just ripping him up, and that long last dodge it arrives very late to this fight, and I think he might be too late.
Ursa's going to live.
Well, maybe with that they can turn it around. No, Ryo finishes him off with his head, off with yours too. And the guillotine might find Storm next if he's not careful. Man, Storm was real late to that fight. TnC walk out with another just devastating turnaround.
I really did think he was away there, and this is getting scary too, because PA is like 600, 1k gold off Deso. That's going to be really scary. That really amplifies the damage potential of both the PA and the Juggernaut.
It's such a huge difference between the contributions of the Timbersaw and the Storm Spirit. We saw like 3,000 damage coming out of the Timbersaw for that team fight, and at the tail end of it, like the Storm stacks some easy 600 damage, and then burns his entire mana pool trying to get there. It seemed like he was just farming, trying to finish the Bloodstone in time.
Why do you think that is? Right? Yeah, because he
just got it. I think he finished Bloodstone, got it delivered, or like finished it base, and then immediately came into the fight. But that really cost them. If he's there at the start of that fight, they very easily clean up that like second and third hero that end up surviving and turning it around.
And the Healing Ward actually survived for the entire duration of the fight. It timed out, for goodness sake.
And he's the hero to snipe it. He's got the mobility to actually chase it down. He doesn't have to put himself in harm's way because he can always just ball back out. That really did cost them.
Like you saw the Magnetize just kept going and going, and the Healing Ward just negated all of it. It was really a big problem for them not to be able to target it, and the Storm Spirit is probably the one at fault the most in that case.
So how bleak is this for Warriors Gaming, given the turn of the last couple of fights, you guys?
I mean, it's still a one-dimensional draft, right? TnC, they kill heroes, they get track gold. They're doing that, but if WG can just start addressing those issues and start using the Oracle properly to keep people alive and get one good wall combo and actually have the core heroes here.
So you wouldn't be overly worried then, Alan? You're saying?
I mean, I'm worried based on the way they're executing the last couple of fights. On paper, they're still very much in this game, but they need to approach these fights differently. They cannot. You just can't. In the situation they're in, you can't afford to give away cheap kills.
So and don't get picked off. And then beyond that, like, is there a certain hero they should be focusing?
What is he doing in this jungle?
He runs in. He sees 3. He's like, I'm out of here, guy. No, just kidding. Coming back in, nice and hot. There's the vacuum. Follow-up track coming through, but they still continue pursuit. They nuke down, slow down, blow up Sam H. That's a huge kill on the Timbersaw. Warriors Gaming, finally they run as 5, and they quickly slaughter TnC.
Yeah, the quick dispatch just being ready to combo up on them, and TnC are kind of in retreat from the beginning. So finally the Storm Spirit is involved the way they want him to be, and so far so good.
Nana! Whoa, that TP, my man.
That's awfully optimistic.
Yeah, that's a death. The next Nova, he'll make it out.
Well, there is only one stun, guys, so he was just hoping that one stun.
Hey, as you mentioned, there is Shuriken as well, but Bounty is dead right now.
Yeah. So in this case, Cast is in position to save the day to get a big kill on the Ursa, and they'll probably take the top tier one as well.
It's a back and forth game. This is not like it's not the most polished, crisp performance from either team, but it's definitely making for some entertaining fights, that's for sure. So Ryo will siege this tower out. Does have the Deso now. That really amps up TnC's ability to Roshan, to take objectives, and they have some burst damage now. If they get a stun on an Earth Spirit, a Storm, Oracle, like those heroes might just die before they even get to cast a spell. Big pickup there.
And definitely Jug going for these mid-game skirmishing items, going the Drum and the Yasha build. So he wants to fight.
I mean, it goes to your point, Blaze, that they just have to find kills, and these are the items to do it. Chase, dive, and never stop moving forward.
I am really surprised that Timber didn't go for his Hood. I like Hood so much against this WG lineup.
Yeah, but think about this. If he's actually being focused down by all this magical damage, then the best case scenario is he dies and heals his entire team back to full. So where they were lacking
the
like,
Eternal Envy died for our Sin strat.
Pretty much. Like,
do you guys remember that Tinker game from like 2-3 years ago? Oh, that was.
I mean,
that's a
I've
classic.
seen Wings play Dazzle on Rush Bloodstone, so like there's that added value where it's like, yes, this hero benefits a ton from the mana pool. He's able to bulk up a little bit and he's able to get back into the fight pretty quickly. All great things, but just the AoE heal, at minimum, no matter how many charges you have, is really strong and gets amped up as you get momentum. So I do think it actually could allow them to trade really well, where you want to continue to generate track kills, and the best way to keep those exchanges rolling is
Man, he's going to go Yules next,
if your Glass Cannon dies first and brings your entire team back to full HP, then you're not in a bad spot.
We're going to see TnC now smoke up in the river. Which way will they roam?
Yeah,
Sweeping from right to left.
Really like that Blink Dagger pickup on Darks here, too. He's going to have it on the
Gonna
courier.
find an opening here. Afu tracked up. You will roll out. There's the vacuum. Looking for the disengage. The Jug ambush comes from the rear. Finds the first one with an Omni Slash. Now gonna look for a second. On to X-Nova he goes. Not tracked up just yet, but there you go. They deploy it just in time. They turn for Kangaroo. Could be a third kill. If they want to dive this, the ball lightning forward. Commitment. They want to find the rebuttal, and they might just get it. Juggernaut down, but now Sam H moves into the backline. So too does Ryo. They look to clean these heroes up. Kangaroo just hops away on a sliver of HP. He will survive, but that leaves Ajit without a whole lot of help. And even though he's normally difficult to kill, the bouncy Churokin will slice him up, finish him off. That ends up being 2 kills. The Storm Spirit losing crucial Bloodstone charges. And some track gold as well for TnC.
Afu is just playing out of his mind. Even though they're not even winning the fights, he's able to keep them in it time and time again. Actually has to buy back for this one here, but like getting just so many multi-man boulder smashes out. This has been an insane game from him, and unfortunately, it's not turning out to the result that they're wanting.
Yeah, but that was really unfortunate timing there. WG wanted to take a fight there. They were kind of walking over. Darkseer's Blink Dagger was on the courier. You see him get it mid lane halfway through that fight, and by that point he was like at 20% HP, so he couldn't really do anything.
So Roshan is up again. Are we going to see a big fight? And if we do, who do you guys favor around the pit?
I think the Roche Pit fight favors Warriors Gaming for sure.
Okay.
They have the Wombo combo. They have the Blink Dagger on Darkseer. You know, the real clean fight for them that looked like it was going to be anyway was that up in the Radiant Jungle when they were the ones initiating. Right, that was really the only clean initiation that they've had all game, and they ended up having to run away there too.
Of course, TnC, this lineup, they thrive on chaos.
They're going to go on as soon as that spin comes out, you know they're going on Cuckoo.
Good follow-up from the Darkseer. Can they finish this one off? There's a Yule Scepter to keep Nana out of the fight. They haven't found the first kill. Juggernaut survives.
Oh,
the Healing
Ward
completely turning the tides of this fight, and now come the crits. Moving in with the multicast straight down to the bottom of your screen. X-Nova falls, Storm runs, heads for the hills. The chase is on. Afu with the TP out. Oh, just barely escapes the Wrath of the Timber Chain. And that will free up the Roche should they opt for it. TnC completely swarming all over Warriors Gaming in that fight. And that Yule Scepter really disrupted their initiation.
I mean, Warriors they kind of look like a team that just doesn't have answers right now. They feel like they have stronger 5-man. They're trying to initiate these fights, and they're just not quite executing little things like leaving the Healing Ward alive, not anticipating the Yule Scepter coming out of the Timbersaw.
So Roshan it is. And who do you give the Aegis to here? PA, Timbersaw?
I mean, while Timbersaw is a really good Aegis carry, I think the PA will be picking it up here. She's going to have a BKB. She's going to be able to fight really well. Actually, go for the Jug instead.
And, of course, it's the one that I didn't mention.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
It's a little interesting because like he's got the one Omni Slash per fight. So usually you can rely
and the one
on him to
Healing
get
Ward.
it out.
You almost always get Jug spells off because of the Blade Fury and the relatively survivable build he's gone for. But TnC, they'll just march straight down mid. And they look now for the siege with that Deso. They can make fairly short work of the tower. Not to mention, I believe it's either a max Bloodlust or getting closer to it at this point. Yeah, it is level 4, so they start to hit buildings pretty hard. And that is something Warriors Gaming still is lacking.
So I consider the Aegis actually pretty effective on Cuckoo if he uses his spin to siege. What we've been seeing time and time again is WG, as soon as the spin ends, they immediately jump.
Yeah.
They're blinking on the Ursa, they're balling on the Storm, and they're trying to punish the fact that he doesn't have that critical cooldown. But TnC, very clearly from that last fight, know that that's a big draw for WG, and they're using it as bait and using them to draw their opposition into their open arms. These are melee heroes, some of them have trouble closing the distance, and you just let the enemy come to you.
Ursa BKB.
And that's really telling. That Ursa feels like he has to get a BKB against a one-stun team.
And how much is it going to help you? You're going to see a
that's
Basher.
really odd.
You're going to
right?
see a Basher on PA. And the way that Ursa's being made irrelevant in these fights is mostly bloodlust and track move speed.
Yep.
They're just running
Yep.
away from him. So
that's not necessarily going to keep him from being kiting.
yeah, they do have the Yule Scepter, which you won't have to worry about. So that's nice, I suppose. But
Yeah, it's just a bunch of minor things. Even dispelling track once can be really good. The dagger can be very annoying.
But why wouldn't you go
Here's
Axe?
the scan,
against
guys.
Against a one-stun team?
they did see TnC, but I think it's only Teehee they're actually going to end up finding. Just a solitary bounty hunter at the very least should mean that they don't give up track gold. Should the larger skirmish break out, and Cast wants to make one happen. There is a buyback available on this bounty hunter should they choose to engage. But they won't.
And the Storm picks up an Orchid, actually showing now that
Okay.
he does have a little bit more value than the Timbersaw. The Yule Scepter is good, but this Orchid could be a real game changer in terms of just nuking down a single target without them having any chance to reply. And if we actually look at the way this game goes late game, that will later on be a Bloodthorn, which the PA will be frustrated by.
Oh yeah, that's the
Yep.
true strength. That's a good point.
That actually is not, against this particular lineup by TnC, especially with the Ursa on your side, that's actually not a bad... You could build right into Bloodthorn from here.
You still have to deal with the BKB, so I think you want to wait for that to go down to like 7, 6, maybe even 5 seconds before you really pursue it, because that is obviously the direct counter to it. But as soon as you can reliably get Orchid to stay on a hero like
Well,
PA,
but you've still got Timbersaw, right? You can still use it on the Timber. You can yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. You probably so Storm's next item is probably what, a BKB of his own?
Could be, yeah, BKB. I mean, I guess Lincoln's, but it's not the best Lincoln's game.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying is that I don't know that BKB is that good on Storm in this game, and so you could go ahead and just build straight Bloodthorn next.
Because you
but-
can still Blink Strike through it anyway now, right? So
Yes, that's
I
true.
think
That's true.
if old PA, it would have been a lot more effective. Because that's like, to me, probably the main way he dies late game is a Blink Strike into an instant
Into
Abyssal or
Abyssal.
Bash.
Right.
Which PA has not gotten yet, just has the Vanguard for now, I believe. But
yeah, she's
working
working
towards
on
it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and they're actually working towards the bottom lane here, trying to actually push out hard on the
This
tier
is-
3
I
before
like this a lot.
WG get back home.
I like this a
And they
lot.
have to come defend. They don't counter push nearly fast enough to go for a trade. And here we go. Juggernaut hacking away at that tier 3 in the bottom lane. Ursa mans up, gets off some auto attacks, quickly tracked and then purged and gets dealt with. The crit comes through a well-timed BKB, ultimate and Oracle False Promise. They commit out all the defensive abilities. Yeah, he'll live.
I mean,
but
what's the BKB going to do for Ursa?
It's
well,
awkward.
nothing now. That's for sure. The smoke back. Round 2.
Yeah, they're definitely ready to go again.
They have no defensive abilities now. They dropped the wall. They committed the Oracle False Promise, the Ursa BKB, and Enrage. This would be a pretty unexpected, well, I don't know if it's unexpected, but a pretty scary time for TnC to go. But in the end, they opt to use that time to
How
look
much
for a
time left
safer
on the
kill
Aegis?
mid.
The Aegis is going to be expiring here in just 50 seconds, so they don't
Yeah.
really have much more to work with there. But again, the Aegis isn't the most important aspect of their kill potential. But the element of surprise is actually the biggest thing, which is why that smoke could have been really good. But in the end, they don't find their opening on mid, and they go back to sporting the map.
Is there any sort of like sense of urgency for either team?
I think there is a bit of sense of urgency from TnC just because you've gone this kind of mid-game focused build on your Jug and to some extent also the PA, but your scaling is fine. I mean,
And you have track, so
Yeah.
you have a tri-core lineup here. All 3 of your cores scale really well in the late game, and you have track to make sure that everybody keeps up in farm. Like, no, I think the onus is on Warriors Gaming to do something.
Yeah, it's not so much urgency as pressure. I still think the TnC have to continue to threaten kills. I mean, obviously
Sure.
the PA Basher enables that really well, where you can just isolate somebody really quickly and kill them off without any response. But yeah, you have to kind of be in a position to find those kills, and you have to kind of control the map. I would love to see a lot more Dire Observer ward action, but we are lacking a little bit in terms of actual
Yeah.
wards to put down.
Now these wards are really, it's great, but it's also a little bit all in. You know, you're just not getting much out of those wards unless you really are committing to these deep pushes.
The game does slow down a little bit. Things cool off as Warriors Gaming, 3 heroes farming out the bottom lane. TnC with a 4-man stack mid.
Oh,
Blood
goes
for
for
it.
And they are going to.
is
Yeah, I
ready.
thought you might see that.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's definitely an amazing item this game, but the question is, will you be able to get it off twice in a fight? It is only an 11-second cooldown. That PA has that 10-second BKB, so...
Yeah, that's the thing, though, that honestly, if you're using that at the beginning of the fight just to force PA to BKB, it's not horrible. You're going to have it up in 11
And
seconds
they might be able to, if not kill her, then certainly they can force her to use it with that plus the pull and the Ursa jump. Like, that's enough that she'll have to use it. They have no defensive heroes on TnC, aside from Healing Ward. But really, with Storm in the fights,
Healing Ward
should not be living. If it is
Well, but
something-
it has been.
I know, but it shouldn't be.
I agree.
It really shouldn't be.
Warriors Gaming feeling the pressure a
Oh,
little
they
bit.
have
going
a
for
defusal
smoke.
now on Cuckoo. We could actually
They're going to
perch-
intercept Ogre here, it looks like, but as I say that, he just lumbers out, and Ursa
Oh, the
rolls
smoke
on
is
in.
popped.
Fake ball lightning forward, engages, and dives deep for this
a little
one.
bit too far front here.
And the force out the BKB. How much can PA get done during this time is the question. Decapitates first and foremost that Earth Spirit, and now on the high ground is Ajit. They get vision now. He balls out and up and away. And then down to the south, he tries to escape, but the chase is on. The Purge is there. He's going to have to deny, and he can't because of that crit.
Yeah, that really, it was the Earth Spirit that died first here, but that was absolutely the Storm's fault. He was just way too far in front of the team.
Yeah,
He dove real deep and didn't have much mana left to get out.
Dug too greedily and too deeply.
It's just like
He's a
in this
dwarf.
position, like you have to you pretend that your enemy is always going to pop the BKB as soon as they
I
can.
appreciated that, Al. Blaze was not immune.
Yeah,
No,
over
Blaze
my
is
head.
like, whatever.
Over my head.
Oh, come on, Lord of the Rings is over here. Oh my God. Youngins.
It's a Youngins thing. I guess it was written back in, what, World War II, I think? You know, when you were about 30 years old or so. And you're For those
I
who
had
don't
that
know,
coming.
Alan's only actually like
I will-
5 years older than me. But that's neither here nor there. TnC will back away.
The Abyssal on PA is just, like you guys were saying a minute ago, that's kind of the nightmare scenario for Storm Spirit, because now he really does have to fear dying, even if he's in pretty good position.
Yeah, and that's where like maybe Yule's could have been a little bit better. Lotus is theoretically possible as well, but here we have him in this position with this Bloodthorn, where he's essentially just, oh, look at this smoke play.
Don't mind us.
Can they just straight up kill Rax here?
No creeps.
No, the backdoor
Yeah,
reduction
they
is
can't- yeah, they
makes it
can't
only a
get creeps
bait,
in the
but
base. They
that
can't
is
get
a hell of
creeps
a
in the base.
bait. Like just waiting for it.
It would have been
I
even
didn't realize
it would have
how far
even been
back that lane
sicker if
was.
the creeps were like pushing out a little bit more. So like, you know, Warriors Gaming are gonna have to come back and defend, but it doesn't end up working out, unfortunately. They had great vision for that too, with those observer wards planted down near.
Yeah,
the
they really have. They had a ward here, and then they've kind of replaced it with a bottom lane ward in almost the analogous location. I guess they're also setting up for the next Rosh, of course.
Feels like WG just giving up too many track kills this game, and no longer comfortable with their position.
No, so this is a big part of the thinking, right? I mean, they're basically saying to Warriors Gaming, okay, if you guys aren't going to contest this bottom right portion of the map at all, we're just going to go right into the Rosh pit. And what are you going to do? We kill Rosh fast enough now that you have no chance of stopping.
And now the real threat of a lane of Rax is upon them. Aegis Cheese, you've got a good sieging here on the Jug. Warriors Gaming trying to find that pick-off to take the wheels off
They
this
could get
TnC
this.
push.
It depends on the reaction time of Cuckoo. Obviously,
But he's got Aegis.
yeah, but if you burn the Aegis, you take out a huge benefit from that Rosh pit. But of course, there are like 4 other heroes waiting in the wings, and then you have a lot more than you bargained for. But it's their best shot. I think that this is still the right initiation.
Absolutely.
Let's see if they get the opening.
Alarm bells have got to be on.
And they
for
could
TnC
settle
now.
for an Ogre. Is there anything good on that Courier? Donkey's coming in hot. And it's a 4-staff down.
But now all they can do is TP back, and Ursa has no TP. If they see that, they're just like, oh, well, thanks for the base.
And in fact, that's exactly what they're like, as they just trot onto the bottom lane.
What in the world?
Ursa just lumbering back from the Ancients, while TnC straight for the jugular here, working on the range Rex bottom. You're going to turn quickly back for the melee. The Circus has
Are you
entered
serious?
Southeast Asia as Ryo just beats on X-Nova. Will finish him off most likely. only now does that slow oaf of a bear make his way into the lane, and see you later, except the vacuum comes through. They might be able to follow this up with the wall. They pop that Aegis nice and quick. Sam H, though, still alive. Gets up the shock from Ursa, dealing with them, actually working out pretty well for Warriors Gaming. They haven't finished off the Ratchet just yet, and then in comes, it looks like the PA, but for the time being, Disarm kept out of the picture. Is going to pop the cheese, tries to live. Too much AoE, too much combination here from WG as they will blow up another. They get the Aegis, they get 3, they hold the racks. It was all a part of the plan for Nana.
That was the first fight in this game where I feel like TnC just did not respect the AoE potential of Warriors Gaming. It's hard to fault them too much because the beginning of that fight was so chaotic, so the spacing was a little bit odd throughout, but still, that's the first time that you've ever seen that big wombo combo we've been talking about kick in.
Yeah, absolutely. Darkseer or Earth Spirit, I mean, it's been a long time coming that this hero, this combination is able to just team fight at this level, and they have to definitely show it some respect as they are a mass melee lineup. It's not even like they can choose to space themselves out differently. They have to have their BKBs up. They have to be ready for that to be coming because the Darkseer Kangaroo's been actually pretty on point this game and is now massively farmed with the Hex as well. So you got two things you want to defuse off your teammates.
I mean, in fairness to TnC, that particular, the geography of that part of the map makes it a lot easier to find a really good fight. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We'll have to see if TnC opt to clump up in a lane again or if they just slow down and go back to the pickoff game.
Still can't believe that Nana showed in that situation though. Like you have a bottle instead of a TP scroll, and you're like, yeah, I'll hit the core here. Yeah, you kill a 4-staff, but you also lose a single Rex.
That just seemed, that was such a bizarre decision.
Once you show, like they know exactly what they're capable of, and sure you can like surge and blink and do whatever you can to get back to the base quickly, but they know which route you're going to be taking, and they knew that they could at least bully back and force the glyph and force 1 Rax.
So, the calm before storm number 2, perhaps, as Warriors Gaming get out on the map. They drop down some deep wards, and they retreat back to the safety of their own jungle. They do have a gem now on X-Nova, so they have a way to scout out that bounty hunter if he's getting a little too feisty in terms of his movements around the map. A Lotus Orb picked up, so Timbersaw just piling up solutions to this ever-oppressive, not Orchid.
Bloodthorn.
Yep.
The Hex and the Bloodthorn.
I always forget the name of that.
Very, very key to dispel, and you've got Diffusal, you've got Manta, you've got your Lotus Orb, BKBs. These are key things and key cooldowns that are going to be used to try to circumvent the items, but I really do think the Darkseer's Hex, I mentioned it before, but Kangaroo picking that up at this kind of a timing really tips the scales because, yes, you're going to expect the Storm Spirit to put out some threats you have to dispel, you have to respond to, but the Darkseer getting it at this time without like a Midas to propel him forward, like this is something that is going to contribute way more in terms of an offlaner than I think even the Lotus Orb on the Timbersaw.
Yeah, Blink Hex, Bloodthorn, Ursa Jump, like if you can just, suddenly they have the instant kill potential the same way the PA and +1 combo has been up until now. So, at about 38 minutes into the game, it really does feel like it's anybody's game as we see about an 8,000 gold lead for TnC, but remember they're running the 5 melee lineup, and we've seen the weaknesses of those heroes. Yet to see an actual melee Rax down. Experience differential, very minimal.
Big deal also is that it's only a 7-second BKB now on the PA, so starting to feel a little bit more vulnerable as the fights go on, and that's going to be WG's game plan, is just to try to extend the fight. I mean, Ursa loves to burst heroes down, and if he can sink his teeth into somebody, then he certainly will, but the alternative is just to delay it, to expand the fight, and to make it so that the Storm Spirit can be, and the Earth Spirit can be more effective.
Yeah, I really would like to see these Boots of Travel put to better use on the Timbersaw in terms of keeping multiple lanes pushed. TnC has not been doing a good job of manipulating the lane equilibrium, keeping multiple lanes pushed toward the Warriors' base. You saw it even when they were very deep down bottom. They just didn't have the pressure in the other 2 lanes to make the team really sweat.
I wonder if that's because of the Blink Hex. If you don't see the Darkseer on the map, then you can suddenly just be killed off. Like Kangaroo gets a 3.5-second disable on you out of Blink, then you're dead, just straight up.
Well, no real rush for either team as we hit the 39-minute mark. With the fights being so back and forth and no more Aegis and Cheese on TnC, they don't want to go.
Look at this ward. This is such a good ward coming out from Hafu, actually, is able to get that one there. The ward is able to see all these different Dire heroes, and while it looks like there's some pinging going on.
I just think it's, I don't, The more I look at these heals, I said this earlier, I just question this item build. Like, you have
That's not how that works, Sam. What are you doing?
You have double cleanse. What's he doing?
He's trying to chakram down the observer ward up.
So
right.
he can't. He doesn't have vision on the observer ward without the chakram, but you can't attack while your chakram's out.
Oh,
so he's just sitting there next to the observer.
Okay, that's
it looked
so
like he
good.
was trying to kill the ward with the chakram. It was pretty funny.
So
anyway, the simple point that I was going to make is that you would really love to have a pipe as TnC right now.
Sure. I mean, I like to have a lot of things, but in this
But
position,
you have double cleanse on your timber saw. You really would love for this to be a hood or a pipe.
There's a lot to cleanse, to be fair. There's
True.
There's the hex. There's the orchid as well. So that's also Bloodthorn now. It's great to kite the Ursa when he doesn't have BKB ready. So. And you have to come on, Alan. You got to keep in mind the incremental value. He had that Yule's Way earlier, so.
He did. I thought he was going to go hood, and
yeah, I mean, it's like.
I mean, you saw that the spell damage in that last fight just did so much work.
But
they
it's
have
only
been
in
a
those
good
situations,
job.
right?
Yeah.
Most fights actually, pipe isn't even worth it for the full barrier effect because like you're not actually taking that much magical damage. It's when the combos come out, when the Darkseer Earth Spirit actually does its job, then that's when the threat comes through.
They had been doing a good job avoiding that the Wombo combo just due to their positioning for most of the game.
Exactly.
That's true.
Well, a crucial game here for both teams, really, as they are jockeying for upper half of the group positioning. Neither are likely to win the group, but still in the running for top 4 and looking to join what looks to be Faceless and Fnatic, most likely. And possibly Mineski. Those are the 5 teams that really seem to be in the thick of it right now.
This is a real fork in the road on the road to the major. I mean,
Yeah.
either
I
could
think
go.
the winner of this game is in my book most likely going to be your 4th team.
We're going to see potentially another smoke coming out. They've been exhausting them a lot, especially TnC.
Yeah.
The two things that TnC haven't been doing right is really comes down to they've been exhausting a lot of smokes without a lot of effectiveness, and their vision game has been kind of weak. They've got 2 decent wards up right now, but across the board they haven't had the intel they needed to make the right moves.
They've had all-in wards like right at the steps of the Radiant base for like 5 or 10 minutes, and this is the first time that we've seen them have more balanced ward presence on the map for quite some time.
So Roche does spawn. Ursa looking to poke and prod at that. It's actually going to be the Juggernaut to blink in.
No one ever expects the Blink Blade Fury at 42 minutes. And it catches Fuzzy Wuzzy totally off guard, but then the turnaround comes. Apu's there.
There's
the combo! They just maul down Ryo after the BKB. He instantly buys back, but he's not going to have it for this fight. And Teehee now, well, running away, but he does manage to get off that track. They look for the chase here. No Omni Slash available. PA trying to get some damage done as she looks to catch up, but Nana runs to the left. A good clustered retreat from Warriors Gaming as X-Nova gets the disarm off again, keeping the PA out of the fights without that BKB. She's just not able to dish out damage. Finally, though, Nana focused. A whiff Timber Chain doesn't prevent the kill. Sam H still able to secure it. Now into the trees, hunting for Ajit. And he says, ah shit, commit suicide. He's done.
How long have you been holding that one in reserve?
That's not the first time I've used it, but it's
Nice.
a good one. Can they save this gem? Apu into the trees, looking for the TP out, and he will make it. So saves the gem in doing so. Kangaroo, no TP available. Don't know if they scouted that.
But huge fight there for TnC.
Yeah.
You're getting 2 out of 3.
Well, no,
Warriors
actually,
game scores.
I completely disagree. I think that Phantom Assassin having to buy back there is really painful. Like, yes,
I'll take it.
You're gonna
I'll
get
take it. For the it gets you 2 core kills, and you're gonna get the Aegis here. You very well may be able to end the game here.
That's the question: is whether you can end the game with this Aegis. If you cannot, the buyback sets you back that much further compared to the opposition.
I don't know. I still think with this lineup and the item builds that they've gone, I will take my chances and try and end the game here on this Aegis cycle.
I mean, it's definitely possible, but we've seen the Storm Spirit do a lot of work in the high ground defense. The Darkseer, the Earth Spirit, that's their domain. So TnC even more all in than they were before with the PA, overextending herself like that, and now having both Aegis and Cheese to back her up for it.
Yeah, I just think that they're at a nice point in their team power curve right now. I mean, they've still got some room for growth left, of course, but all of their heroes have the items that they need to be effective.
Got to give a lot of credit here to the Juggernaut, just casually staying even with the Storm Spirit after going for that very mid-game build. Nice, got the Scotty picked up as well, and that Diffusal Blade. Once you just like isolate someone and start whacking at them, they don't last very long in these fights. Really counters the Darkseer nicely as well. He's becoming more and more of a threat, even though the PA feels like she's largely falling off, especially with the great Oracle play we've seen in this game. Jug, still a very real threat.
I think they're all in at this point. Like, they've bought out on the Juggernaut with the Scotty. PA obviously doesn't have her buyback. Like, this is the moment where they either win the game or they're going to start losing it.
I'll cue the final countdown as they commence their siege. Ryo gonna kill off an Observer Ward there. Slow, steady chip damage for him, and a big fall in with Ursa there. Together, they just slaughter that Aegis.
Wow.
Quick and easy.
That's
No
pretty cheap Aegis.
saves, no defensive supports available. Now a Boulder Smash to stun that PA, and they will force out the Glyph, but Jug sticks around just a little bit. Lets the illusions out, and he'll try to finish this Rax with them, but Ursa says, no, get off my Boulder! And he will, almost, but not fully, stop the illusions as a Jug blinks into the backlines. Omni Slash,
Is he gonna get? Oh my
almost
God.
got dragged
my
back to
God.
the well. Very lucky he didn't end up there and instantly die. And now Storm moves forward. They commit the wall.
Get out! You
Not
cannot
the best,
lose this fight.
but they need to escape. Hex there on the Bounty Hunter. An unusual target for that. Storm now looking to retreat. PA gets to work, finds the crit. Nana, though, just tanking like a man, or in this case, a bear. And now turning onto the Timber Saw. Doesn't get the bash mid-chain. He will make it out. Teehee runs into the middle of four heroes. And Ryo just deletes the Storm. No buyback available for 45 seconds. Is this the end for Warriors Gaming? They're down a crucial hero. They don't have the wall. They're chase out X-Nova. A Blake, a slap, and down he goes. PA with the slice and dice gets the job done, and now they're herded back to the well, but TnC have forced out 2 buybacks. Storm is getting a little extra time here for the respawn, though. The chain not going to connect, and then all of a sudden, the stun. Can they finish him off, though? The bash isn't enough, and now the Magnetize gets committed. 4 melee heroes against it. They still Blake in. Deeper and deeper. Ryo with the kill. Looking for more. Pushing away Nana, maybe to safety. The Earth Spirit, no, is actually still going to end up falling. Ryo now wants to run. Blinks back out. There's the Yules. Disengage. And still retreating. Boulder Smash, not done just yet. It's another twofer. Continues to deliver with those impressive kicks.
Here comes the Storm, though. He has Hex, he has Bloodthorn. He's itching to use it. Just needs to get a little bit closer for this initiation. It's actually going to be Kuko that goes back in. Ajit, this is his fight.
Come at me, he says, and the crit.
Huge crit.
The dagger crit, actually. Now the blink forward, trying to finish somebody off. Apu, ever so low, not dead yet. Oh, they're going to let him get away, it looks like, but they did kill off the Ursa. No buyback available. Ajit back to the well. Down 2. It's a power play for TnC, and the track gold is just piling in at this point. Buybacks are sorely lagging out for the Radiant. A game-ending Necro Book pickup here. I love this play for the Timber Saw as they look to just finish off Warriors Gaming.
Wow.
TnC pulling out a barn burner here at 47 minutes. They will take it 36-28 in what was an absolute marathon fight in the bottom lane. They just wouldn't die.
And the SEA playoffs just got a whole lot more interesting as Warriors Gaming Unity came in today, looked like they were going to be almost a lock for those top 4 teams. TnC saying, not so fast, guys. We have a shot to make it in the playoffs as well. And guys, over the last 3 or 4 minutes of that game, just superior execution by TnC.
I just can't believe how long that team was.
Yeah.
But
minutes.
they
But it was only a
maintained
couple of
really
mistakes.
good positions.
It was only a couple of mistakes
Well,
that
the
Warriors
big
Gaming
Ajit
made.
Storm Spirit was the big one, of course.
Yeah, like compromising his position like that, he felt so confident. He just bought out his Hex. He's like, let's go, let's just pursue them out of the base, try to get as many kills as we can, probably get a dieback on the PA. He felt so confident because he had both the Bloodthorn and the Hex, and they're like, but we have BKB. So they turn around against him, and he just gets 1 bash against him and gets completely screwed over. The extended team fight in the bottom right of the map, and that followed by that last one, like, it all comes down to those fights for the entirety of the game.
I mean, that fight literally knocked Allen on his ass. He was like, whoa, I'm still really...
I got to sit down. Woo.
I can't imagine how Warriors Gaming feels after that, but
Yeah,
a loss here, really 2 losses in a row now on day 2 after a great 3-1 start.
2 tough ones, too, where, very different scripts, of course, but they had all 5 heroes online there, and it was Ajit that really made the key mistake later in the game. But, man, that's a big haymaker just landed on this young team. We got to see if they're going to come back.
Yeah, they took down Fnatic, who we're about to see in our next match. This, to me, is like the highlight match of the group stage. Might determine who wins the group. Faceless can afford to give up a game, but if these 2 teams end up head-to-head tied, and it's just a 1-1, they would end up winning the group. They'd maybe have the easier match in the playoffs. So not a huge deal given the format, but a slight little advantage potentially.
Slightly bigger, I guess, for Fnatic, given that they want to avoid getting that second loss and potentially having to face tiebreakers down the road. But still, yeah, this is going to be the first 2 times that we see the 2 presumptive favorites.
Yeah, should be an exciting one. So with that, guys, thank you all for joining us. We're going to take a quick break here, but Southeast Asian qualifier action for the Boston Major will continue after this. and we're going in